Attention, passionate Dallas Cowboys fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East, and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Dallas Cowboys' path to another championship run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before we dive in, if you're a true Dallas Cowboys fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and fellow Dallas Cowboys fans. Let's get to the news. Now, everyone who has been paying attention to the NFL knows the Dallas Cowboys are a franchise always in the spotlight, especially when it comes to making bold moves to strengthen the roster. And this season, it feels like there's a certain buzz in the air, a sense that something big is brewing, particularly around the running back position. If you've been following the Cowboys' offseason rumors, you've probably heard whispers about potential shakeups, and let me tell you, the latest speculations could seriously alter the landscape of the NFC East. But what exactly is on the table? Well, it involves a possible blockbuster trade that could see a star running back from the Seattle Seahawks making his way to Dallas. Yes, you heard that right. And if this move happens, it could be one of the most exciting and game-changing decisions in recent Cowboys history. When we talk about the Cowboys and their offensive core, there's always been a lot of focus on the skill positions: quarterback, wide receivers, offensive line. But the running game, historically, has been a mixed bag in recent seasons. For a long time, Dallas fans have hoped for a reliable, consistent veteran presence in the backfield. The truth is, Dallas has had some flashes of brilliance, but they've also been looking for that steadying force, that player who can carry the load when the chips are down, and who can elevate the offense when needed most. And that's where this potential trade comes into play. Because if you look at the current roster, it's clear that the team could benefit from a seasoned, proven veteran who can make an immediate impact. Now, I know what some of you are thinking: Jerry Jones, isn't he worried about the running back position, isn't he? Well, that's true to some extent. The Cowboys have often relied on a committee approach, mixing rookies, younger players, and some free agents, but the truth is that approach has its limitations. When you're aiming for a deep playoff run, especially with the ambitions Dallas has every year, you want a guy who has been there, who has seen the ups and downs of NFL seasons, a player who commands respect and can carry the offensive load when necessary. That's why this trade rumor is gaining so much traction. Because if Dallas pulls the trigger, they could be adding a player who not only has the talent, but also the veteran savvy to help guide the young core and to be a real difference maker on Sundays. And speaking of players, the name that has been floated around the most is Kenneth Walker III from the Seattle Seahawks. Now Walker, a product of Michigan State University, burst onto the scene in his rookie year, showing flashes of elite talent. In 2022, he rushed for over 1,050 yards and averaged around 4.6 yards per carry. That's no small feat for a rookie, especially considering the pressure that comes with being a first-year NFL player. His run game was dynamic, explosive even, and he looked like a future star in the making. Fans loved his vision, his agility, his ability to break tackles, and his knack for making big plays when it mattered most. And the best part, he seemed to have that extra gear, that burst of speed that can turn a modest gain into a game-changing run. But as we all know, NFL careers are never just about the highlights. Injuries, changing team dynamics, and the evolution of offensive lines can alter a player's trajectory. And that's exactly what happened to Walker in 2023 and 2024. Injuries hampered his progress, and the Seahawks, struggling with an inconsistent offensive line, couldn't quite replicate the magic of his rookie season. His yards per carry dipped to around 3.7 in 2024, and he only managed 573 rushing yards in 11 games. Still, even with those numbers being somewhat down, it's important to recognize that Walker's talent is undeniable. His combination of power and speed, his ability to make defenders miss, and his vision in the backfield make him a very appealing target for teams looking to bolster their run game. Now, here's where things get interesting. Walker's contract is set to expire after the 2025 season, which opens the door for a potential trade. The Seahawks might see the writing on the wall. They could decide that holding onto Walker for another year isn't worth the risk, especially if they rebuilding or want to open up cap space for other moves. On the other hand, they might see his potential and decide that investing long-term makes sense, but that's a gamble. For Dallas, acquiring a player like Walker would be a game changer. Not only would they get a young, talented back with star potential, but they'd also be sending a message that they're serious about competing at the highest level. Of course, The trade itself would involve some draft picks, probably a couple of fourth-rounders in 2026 and 2027, to be exact. It's a small price to pay for a player with Walker's ceiling, especially considering his youth and talent. Think about it. The Cowboys would be adding a player who, if healthy and in the right environment, could be a perennial Pro Bowler and a centerpiece of their offense for years to come. With the new offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer at the helm, who, by the way, has a strong background in offensive schemes and previously worked with Dallas, Walker could thrive in this system. Schottenheimer's approach emphasizes a balanced attack, utilizing the run to set up the pass, and Walker's skill set fits perfectly into that philosophy. Now, let us not forget that the Seahawks head coach, Pete Carroll, and general manager John Schneider will have to weigh the pros and cons. Do they see Walker as a franchise back who can lead their offense for years, or are they willing to part with him for the right price? Considering Walker's market value around $41.6 million for 4 years, according to Spotrac, it's a significant investment. The Seahawks might opt to see how Walker performs this season, evaluate his health and productivity, and then decide whether to lock him in long-term or move on. But in Dallas, the thought of adding someone like Kenneth Walker III is enough to get fans dreaming about what could be. Imagine the possibilities: Walker in the backfield, running behind an offensive line that's been improving, with Dak Prescott distributing the ball to a talented receiving core, and a defense that's been steadily building. It's a recipe for a serious playoff contender, especially if they can get that consistent, explosive run game to complement their aerial attack. And don't forget, the Cowboys have a history of making bold moves, trading for stars, signing key free agents, and always aiming to be in the championship conversation. This potential trade fits right into that mold. It would send a message that Dallas is all in, that they're willing to take risks to get over the hump and finally bring home that 6th Super Bowl ring. Now, folks, I know some of you might be skeptical. After all, trading draft capital for a running back is always a gamble, especially given how unpredictable injuries can be and how quickly a player's value can fluctuate. But that's what makes this story so intriguing. Because if Walker stays healthy and continues to develop, we could be looking at a future NFL star, a guy who can carry the load in some of the biggest moments. And in Dallas, with the right coaching and the right system, he could become the missing piece that elevates their offense to another level. So, as we wait and see whether this trade materializes, one thing's for sure: the NFC East is shaping up to be even more competitive this year. The Eagles, Giants, and Commanders are all making moves, but if Dallas pulls off something like this, it could shift the entire balance of power. It would be a bold statement, a clear sign that the Cowboys are serious about reclaiming their throne and making a deep playoff run. And with the upcoming season just around the corner, every fan is eager to see what moves Jerry Jones and his front office will make next. And now, Dallas Cowboys fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you believe Kenneth Walker III could be the missing piece for Dallas? Would you be willing to give up those draft picks for a shot or star back? Or do you think Dallas should focus on developing their current roster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cowboys. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Dallas Cowboys news. We'll keep you informed, excited, and ready to cheer on the boys from Big D as they chase their next championship. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Cowboys.